Not only just President Trump, but also politicians and media, they would always every day talk about China as a threat. You people eat bats and snakes and dogs and things like that. Take your China flu and shove it up U.S. Unfortunately, these suspect and perpetrators, they are not the most racist person, but can be ordinary citizen.
이 콘텐츠는 아시안 증오범죄 근절 프로그램의 일환으로 캘리포니아주에서 지원받아 제작되었습니다.
What do we know about Asian hate? Today, I would like to clarify some misunderstandings about Asian hate, what caused the Asian hate, and who are the suspects or perpetrators, or who are the victims, and how it happened, and what have we done so far. So, for instance, from year 2020 to year 2021, there have been more than 10,000 AAPI hate incidents. I'm talking about only reported cases. And in those cases, Korean Americans were second to Chinese Americans in terms of the number of those hate incidents that they reported. All right, I think it's very important to know the differences between hate crime and hate incident, because not all the cases involving really attacking Asian Americans were reported, and that is the problem. I mean, when we had more than 10,000 cases were reported, but in terms of hate crime, it was less than 50 cases. So what is the hate crime and what is the hate incident? Hate crime means that it's gotta be a crime. So otherwise, it's not gonna be a hate crime, and then therefore there is nothing that police would take any actions, and then also you gotta verified that it was based on hate, race-based hate, or ethnicity-based hate, or other matters. And it isn't always easy, and it's very limited legal terms. All other cases remain as just hate incident, and in that case, it's not legible to the mainstream society, like including police or other matters. All right. So only that is why only 3% of anti-Asian attacks later resulted in hate crime conviction. Most hate incidents were not really, reported to the police. We all know that probably this is the first thing that we hear about it from police, FBI, or other authorities, and from the government, that Korean Americans and Asian Americans, they tend to underreport, when they became a victim. So far, it seems to be very difficult for them to report. But I think what is not known here is that these hate crimes and hate incidents, they are also underreported by various law enforcement agencies, like by police and FBI or other, government authorities. So I think that it's not just I think the victims, they tended to underreport. And also, I think, as you can imagine, there is language barriers, and also API victims, they do fear for possible retaliations. And also, another matter is that Asian Americans also, they don't trust, like other minorities, they have a problem trusting law enforcement. This kind of anti-Asian violence, and we have to see it in a historical context, not just only in the aftermath of or since the pandemic, but early on, already in the 19th century, I think there is this kind of ideology of yellow peril. That means that people in the West and in the US, people thought that they would be at some point invaded and taken over by people in East Asia, racially, sexually, or what other ways. I think it speaks to the fear that people in the West, they have toward East Asian or other Asian people, in a way that they will be taken over or devoured even. All right, so at that time, the 19th century, Chinese immigrants, at that time, they were the only Asian immigrants. They were seen as unclean and uncivilized, and it led to Chinese Exclusion Act. All right, and I think we see here that, so that's what happened. But in the 20th century, there is a different understanding of images of Asians as economic threat. Since the 1980s, the rise of Japan. So I think we use the term techno-orientalism. Particularly in technological arenas, they're thinking that West will be taken overpowered by Asians, and particularly during President Trump administration, not only just President Trump, but also politicians and media, they would always every day talk about China as a threat, and really Chinese as enemies, and ordinary citizens, it become ingrained, When they hear about it, they feel it's okay to attack Chinese or other Asian Americans. So these President Trump very divisive political narratives, they're calling COVID-19 pandemic as Chinese virus, China virus, or Kung flu. So therefore, ordinary citizens, they come to fear China, and as an extension, Asian Americans. You people eat bats and snakes and dogs and things like that, and take your China flu and shove it up your ass. We see here in a way that, as I already mentioned, that in the aftermath, pandemic isn't over. Unfortunately, anti-Asian attack included African American suspect and perpetrators, but also we are keenly aware that we had the killing of George Floyd, and that led to national reckoning with race and via Black Lives Matter movement. And then a number of Korean Americans and Asian Americans joined, they expressed their solidarity, they joined the Black Lives Matter movement. And another way we can understand here is that these suspect and attackers turns out to be, in many cases, they are not the extreme, really the worst racist person, but in many cases they are ordinary people. And in their cases, the way we can understand here is that you attack Chinese or other Asian Americans without any motive other than patriotism, because that's what they hear from their politicians and in the media. So I would ask a question provocatively: can one do evil without being evil? Not the person is really a bad person or malicious. So I related to the case involving German war criminal, and in philosopher Hannaarendt, when war criminal IAM in Argentina, he was arrested. Then it turns out that he wasn't really the worst racist person. It turns out he was just trying to, fulfill his duty. That is the ideas, Unfortunately, these suspect and perpetrators, they were not the most racist person, but can be ordinary citizen. They try to do whatever way as patriotic citizens. So I hope that I was able to clarify some misunderstandings about Asian hate, and I think we can figure out here that how we can also increase interracial empathy towards even other minorities and vice versa. I would say that. I mean, as well as fighting against white nationalist, their violence.
이 콘텐츠는 아시안 증오범죄 근절 프로그램의 일환으로 캘리포니아주에서 지원받아 제작되었습니다.